Welcome to our special segment on global financial event. Today we are dividing into one of the most critical economic crises in recent European history, the European sovereign debt crisis, which is a financial crisis that started around 2009, mainly affecting countries in Eurozone. It began when Greece admitted its budget deficit was much larger than reported. That shook investor confidence and triggered fear that other countries like Portugal, Ireland, and Spain might also default on their debts. To help us understand it better, I'm joined by Jay, a student who has been researching this topic. Thanks for joining us. So the question is, what triggered the European sovereign debt crisis in the first place?
Okay, thank you, Harry. So for this question, my answer is the crisis was triggered when it became clear that several Eurozone countries, especially Greece, had unsustainable levels of public debt and also deficits. Once Greece admitted to underreporting its debt in 2009, investors had lost confidence and also fearing that countries like Portugal, Ireland, and also Spain might default too.
How did the crisis affect the euro value in global markets?
Okay, so for this, the euro took a serious hit. Investors had pulled out of euro-denominated asset and also moved their money into a safer currencies like US dollar. At its worst, the euro dropped from around $1.4 nearly to $1.2. It became a symbol of the crisis itself, which are fragile and also uncertain.
Why did investors move to other currencies during the crisis?
Okay, so when market feel panic, investor want stability and also they are typical find it in currency like the US dollar, Japanese yen, or Swiss francs. So they saw euros and also brought this safer currency and causing the euro to weaken further.
Did the European Central Bank do anything to stop the euro from falling?
Yes, the European Central Bank stepped in multiple times. They cut the interest rate, provide emergency loan to banks, and also eventually launch program to buy the government bonds. The most important moment was in 2012 when European Central Bank President Mario Draghi had promised to do whatever it takes to save the euro.
What long-term effect did the crisis have on euros and exchange rates?
Okay, so even after the crisis calmed down, the euro remained more vulnerable to political and also the economic instability. The crisis also changed how investors view the eurozone, that no longer as a single unified economy, but as a group of very different countries sharing a currency. Exchange rate has remained sensitive to any sign of trouble in weakened eurozone member since then.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Now we welcome the next student, which is Lao Jing. Hello, Jing. During the 1997 Asian financial crisis, how did government and central bank in the affected countries respond to the situation?
Morning, Harry. So for this question, the respondents vary across countries, but most aim to stabilize their economies and currencies. Thailand was the first to be hit. It floated the back, moving away from its fixed exchange rate and accept a bailout package from the IMF.
What about the other countries like Indonesia and South Korea?
So for the Indonesia and South Korea also turned to the IMF for help. In return, they had to implement strict structural reforms like closing down weak financial institutions, cutting government spending, and increasing interest rates. These steps were painful but necessary to regain investor confidence.
In Malaysia, I remember they took a different route.
So for Malaysia, they reject IMF assistance. Instead, the government imposed capital controls to prevent money from flowing out of the country. They also paid the ringgit to the US dollar and lowered interest rate to stimulate the economy. This approach was controversial at the time but later seen as effective effective in stabilizing the economy without external conditions.
Okay, thank you, Zin. Welcome, Livan. So, what exactly happened during the European sovereign debt crisis and how did it affect FDI in the region?
Okay, thank you, Harry. Countries like Greece and Spain face severe debt crises, and FDI dropped sharply in Greece, fell from 4.5 billion euro to 1 billion euro in 2011. Investors default. Investors feared default and moved money to safer countries like Germany. It showed that in IFM, even with one currency and without fiscal discipline, is the investor can collapse.
How did the crisis influence your decision and confidence?
The crisis caused uncertainty. We saw sovereign bond downgrades and inconsistent recovery plans. We moved funds to low-risk countries, and it proved that using the euro is not enough, and strong policies and stability is more matter.
How did the European Union respond to the crisis and work to rebuild investor confidence?
In 2012, the European Central Bank protected the euro through the outright monetary transaction program, and the European Union gave bailouts through the European Financial Stability Facility and the European Stability Mechanism, but the countries had to fix their budgets. So slowly, the trust returned and foreign direct investment improved, especially in Ireland and Portugal.
Okay, thank you, Livan.
Thank you.
Welcome, Kanchang. What was the impact on international trade during the European sovereign debt crisis?
Thank you. Even the Europe went through a tough recession. Export from the Eurozone stayed quite strong. This was because countries like US and China were still buying European goods. In fact, export only dropped by about 1% between 2011 and 2012. However, import, especially in countries like Greece, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, fell sharply by as much as 20% over 2 years. This happened because those countries had to cut government spending a lot. This had led to delay in the purchasing power of the private and businesses. So, well, companies that sold to other countries were okay, but the local economy got worse, and this also affected global trade.
Did investors lose confidence during the crisis?
Yes, very much so. As people start to worry that some countries like Greece may not be able to pay their debt, investors put their money out of riskier press. Foreign investment into the Eurozone dropped by about 30% from 2010 to 2012. And it was even worse in soft countries. It's still over 40% investors start putting their money in safe press like German government bond, US government bond, and gold. This difference in interest rate between risky country and safe ones got very big, showing that people did not trust some country to pay back what they owed.
Okay, thank you, Kancheng. In conclusion, the European sovereign debt crisis highlights the vulnerabilities of shared currency without unified fiscal policies. It exposed significant imbalance within the Eurozone and forced policymakers to rethink economic governance across member states. While the crisis had severe economic and social impact, it also led to major reforms such as stricter fiscal rules and the creation of new financial mechanisms. Ultimately, the crisis served as a powerful lesson in the importance of transparency, coordination, and resilience in managing public finance within a monetary union. That's the end of this interview, and see you in the next session.